the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark, unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No mic, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune and turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just a vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. In shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go.
Podcast, you say? Bertrand Russell asked, his bushy mustache raising. He seemed interested now. Well, the paradox of the barber, Bertrand Russell began, puffing on his pipe. I first conceived of it in my early 20s. It's quite a thought-provoking conundrum. I was a bit baffled, to say the least. It's the first paradox I'd come up with myself, so it certainly made me ponder the possibilities and limitations of logic. The paradox certainly throws a wrench into the works of naive set theory, Russell said, his eyes narrowing. It's a wake-up call that mathematics, and logic in general, isn't always as straightforward as we'd like to believe. It's a sign that there is more we have yet to understand about the nature of sets, even though the paradox itself seems to defy any intuitive understanding. I see it more as an opportunity to explore those deeper truths you mentioned. In Principia Mathematica, we aim to establish a rigorous foundation for mathematics, grounding it in logic instead of relying on external intuitive concepts like geometry or arithmetic, Bertrand Russell explained, puffing thoughtfully on his pipe. Logic, by its very nature, provides a transparent and objective basis for building complex mathematical theories. By starting with basic axiomatic principles and deducing all mathematical truths from these, we hope to ensure the precision and certainty of our logical system. It was a way to establish mathematics as an exact, rigorous science, free from ambiguity and contradiction. Russell puffed on his pipe, contemplating for a moment before responding. Gödel's incompleteness theorems, they definitely caused some ripples in the world of mathematics. However, I wouldn't say they diminish the goals of Principia. Gödel's work showed that some truths in mathematics, or any sufficiently complex formal system, can never be proven within that system alone. This doesn't make my work any less important. Instead, it highlights the inevitability of some limitations in our mathematical endeavors. Bertrand Russell, puffing on his pipe, thoughtfully replied, the eternal question. Is mathematics invented or discovered? My logic-based approach leans towards the view that mathematics is discovered. I believe the laws of mathematics, the relationships between numbers and the rules that govern their behavior, these exist inherently within the universe. They are not creations of our mind or mere conventions, but rather are revealed to us through rigorous logical deductions. This view ties in quite nicely with my logical framework, emphasizing the necessity of objective, indisputable principles. Intuition definitely has its place in mathematical discovery, Bertrand Russell mused, his eyes half-lidded. Often, a mathematician will have a gut feeling about a particular pattern or a solution to a problem. This intuitive sense can guide them towards fruitful areas of research and lead to breakthroughs. However, formal proof based on rigorous logical principles is essential to establish the validity of these discoveries. Intuition can lead us to answers, but only the cold, unfeeling logic can bring us to certainty. Russell puffed on his pipe, considering your question. The theory of types, with its endless nesting of set types, indeed seems to lead to an infinite regress. However, it doesn't necessarily impede practical mathematics. In the real world, we operate with a limited number of types and levels. As long as we keep our focus within a pragmatic realm, we can avoid the pitfalls of the infinite. While mathematically the regress is a challenge, in practice it's more of an edge case issue. Ah, the elegance of proofs, Bertrand Russell pondered, his pipe in hand. There are many beautiful proofs in mathematics, but one particularly elegant one sticks out in my mind. Euler's infinite sum formula, which equates the sum of an infinite geometric series to a fraction, is both simple and profound. The elegance lies in its concise and intuitive nature, yet it holds the key to understanding some of the most complex aspects of mathematical analysis. Number theory, the study of integers and their properties, has a very strong connection to symbolic logic, Bertrand Russell explained. The language of number theory, with its focus on sequences, divisibility, and prime factors, can be expressed quite elegantly in the language of symbolic logic. Symbolic logic, by providing a precise formalism, allows number theorists to express patterns and relationships in a concise and rigorous manner, which helps to highlight hidden structures and potential theorems. It's an immensely powerful tool for exploring the deep truths of number theory. Ah, the ambition of a complete axiomatization of mathematics, Bertrand Russell chuckled, a wispy cloud of smoke trailing from his pipe. It's a noble goal, certainly, but whether it's achievable, that's a different question entirely. Considering the infinite possibilities and nuances of mathematical thought, I fear we might always be grasping at an ever-receding horizon. Mathematics is like the ocean. You can explore as much as you want, but there's always the mystery of the unexplored depths. I did in a way foresee the important role that computers would play, Bertrand Russell acknowledged, his gaze distant. The logical foundations I helped establish were instrumental in the creation of algorithms and formal systems, which are central to computing. When Alan Turing visited me and described his theoretical machine, I saw the potential. Here was a new realm of computation, built upon principles I had helped lay the groundwork for. The continuum hypothesis, a fascinating dilemma, Russell reflected, tapping his pipe. It was once thought to be necessary for the consistency of mathematics, yet later proven to be independent of standard axioms. The continuum hypothesis raised a lot of questions about the limits of our mathematical understanding. It's an example of how subtle and complex mathematical problems can be, how delicate the balance between consistency and completeness truly is. Discrete mathematics and continuous mathematics certainly have different characteristics, Bertrand Russell mused, his pipe emitting a thoughtful puff. The former deals with distinct countable entities, integers, sets, etc., while the latter involves the continuum, the seamless transition between numbers. From a philosophical standpoint, the difference is that discrete mathematics is inherently ordered and structured, while continuous mathematics captures the messy, fluid nature of our world. Discrete mathematics can be seen as a distillation of reality, while continuous mathematics is a closer reflection. Non-Euclidean geometries are quite fascinating, Russell mused, his pipe held aloft. They challenge the traditional Euclidean assumptions, suggesting that perhaps our understanding of space and geometry isn't as rigid as we initially thought. This has implications for the logical foundations of mathematics. After all, our understanding of axioms and logical deductions are rooted in the geometry we observe. The existence of non-Euclidean geometries reminds us that even our most fundamental assumptions should be subject to questioning and examination. An intriguing question about the concept of zero, Russell replied, his eyes narrowing. The very idea of nothingness, or the absence of anything, seems to defy purely logical explanation. Zero is more of a symbolic representation, a construct that enables us to perform arithmetic and manipulate numbers, but it doesn't quite have an innate meaning in and of itself. Therefore, while logic does play a critical role in defining and using zero, I believe external intuition is necessary to truly grasp the concept. Probability theory is an interesting case, Russell mused, his pipe releasing a thoughtful puff. It's somewhat like a bridge between logic and uncertainty. It allows us to reason about uncertain events in a logical way, assigning probabilities to various outcomes and manipulating them using mathematical laws. It doesn't quite fit neatly within my logical system, because it operates on a different level. Probability theory isn't trying to prove anything, but rather to quantify uncertainty in a logical framework. So it's a bit of an outlier, but one that proves extremely useful. If I could revisit Principia Mathematica, there's certainly things I'd change or add. Bertrand Russell puffed thoughtfully on his pipe. One thing I would emphasize more, perhaps, is the importance of foundational axioms. They were there in the original work, but there's always more to say. I would probably also dedicate more time to clarifying the hierarchy of types. It wasn't until later that I fully understood the complexity of nested sets and the need to avoid logical paradoxes. These things are the backbone of our modern mathematical theories. Well, in my theory of descriptions, distinguishing between definite and indefinite descriptions in everyday language can be a bit tricky, Bertrand Russell mused. In essence, a definite description, like the present King of France, refers to a single specific individual, whereas an indefinite description, like a king of France, refers to any object that falls under the category of being a king of France, whether or not a specific individual exists. This difference might not always be obvious when casually speaking, but it has profound implications for logic and language. Ah, the statement, "The present King of France is bald," Bertrand Russell started, his pipe spewing smoke. It's a statement that's both meaningful and false, but not nonsensical. The statement is meaningful because it's logical and can be understood by any competent speaker of English. However, it's false because there is no King of France, meaning that the statement isn't true in our reality. This statement illustrates the intricacies of language and logic, suggesting that even seemingly absurd statements can have logical meanings. The debate between language shaping thought and it being a tool for expressing pre-existing ideas is a long-standing one, Bertrand Russell opined. Personally, I tend to lean towards the idea that language molds our thinking. Words shape how we perceive and categorize the world. At the same time, it's clear that we have thoughts outside of language, particularly in the realm of emotions, sensations, and abstract concepts. So perhaps it's not an either-or situation, but rather a complex interplay between the two. Context is everything when it comes to determining the meaning of a sentence, Bertrand Russell mused, his pipe smoke swirling. Words and phrases often have multiple meanings, and it's the context in which they appear that truly dictates their significance. Imagine the sentence, "I saw her duck with binoculars." Without any context, this might convey a rather confusing image. But with additional information, such as the person being an ornithologist at a bird refuge, the meaning becomes clear. This highlights why context is so essential to understanding language in everyday conversations and in deeper logical analysis. Ah, Wittgenstein's later critique of my logical atomism, Bertrand Russell reflected, his eyes narrowing. Wittgenstein, my former student and close friend, was always challenging me. His critique was thought-provoking, I must admit. He argued that I overlooked the social aspect of language and logic, neglecting the role of language games and the importance of context. This critique caused me to delve deeper into the philosophy of language and to appreciate the broader societal implications of linguistic interactions. Ah, the concept of a perfect language, Bertrand Russell mused. The very notion of a perfect language is intriguing. Every language has its strengths and weaknesses. All languages, in their own way, struggle to capture the complexity and precision of our thoughts and feelings. They're a product of human history, culture, and limitations. So, while certain languages might be more effective for certain types of expression, the search for a universal, perfect language may be unattainable. Proper names, terms used to directly identify individuals, places, or things, function differently from descriptions, Bertrand Russell explained, puffing thoughtfully on his pipe. Descriptions involve a relation between an object and its properties, whereas properly named entities have a direct reference. In my logical atomism, though, I recognize that some elements of descriptions were present in the use of proper names. Proper names can contain descriptive content that defines what type of thing the name refers to. For example, John Smith indirectly tells us the man is a human and has the surname Smith. My work on denotation and connotation has influenced modern semantics in significant ways, Bertrand Russell said, his pipe releasing a thoughtful puff. The distinction I made between the literal meanings, denotations, and the emotional, cultural associations, connotations of words has become a cornerstone of semiotic analysis, particularly in linguistics and literary theory. Understanding the denotative and connotative meanings of words is crucial for accurate communication and interpretation, both in ordinary language and in technical fields like computer science and artificial intelligence. Ah, now there's a question that's been debated for ages, Bertrand Russell mused, his pipe emitting puffs of smoke. The relationship between truth and language is complex. I've always held that truth is independent of linguistic structure. What's true doesn't change based on how we express it. Our ability to express it accurately, however, is often limited by our language. So while truth can certainly be expressed through language, it isn't defined by it. Language, though a powerful tool, often falls short in capturing the full complexity and nuance of reality. Well, a sentence that is grammatically correct but logically contradictory, that's quite the paradox, Bertrand Russell mused, his eyes narrowing. It's a case where structure doesn't necessarily reflect sense. In such a sentence, the words may be positioned correctly and the syntax might be flawless, but the meaning contradicts itself. Take, for example, the statement, "The ball is on the table and not on the table." Grammatically, it's correct. However, it's patently false, as something cannot be on and not on a table simultaneously. Absolutely, Bertrand Russell exclaimed, his pipe releasing a puff of smoke. My background in mathematics was critical to my approach to linguistic analysis. Logic, after all, was like a bridge that connected both areas. The precision and rigor required in mathematics were mirrored in my approach to language. I treated language as a sort of formal system, with rules of composition and inference, which could be analyzed and understood through logical deduction. So my mathematical mind certainly played a significant role in shaping my linguistic theories. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis of linguistic relativity is a fascinating premise, Bertrand Russell mused, puffing thoughtfully on his pipe. It suggests that the language we speak can shape not just how we communicate, but how we perceive and understand the world. This is a profound idea. I have mixed feelings about it, he continued. On the one hand, I acknowledge that language can indeed influence our thought patterns and worldview. However, I believe it's ultimately our rational faculties that primarily determine how we perceive reality, not merely the language we use. There absolutely is a connection between my paradox in set theory and paradoxes in natural language, Bertrand Russell confirmed. Both types of paradoxes arise from situations where the laws and rules governing the systems are taken to their extremes. They reveal a sort of inner conflict, where things that we assume are coherent on the surface turn out to be logically inconsistent. For instance, the liar paradox, the statement, "This statement is false," is quite like my paradox in set theory. It reflects the fact that language, like mathematics, can create contradictions when pushed too far. Resolving ambiguity in pronouns like they through logical analysis can be challenging, Bertrand Russell admitted, his eyes narrowing as he thought. Pronouns aren't merely logical entities, but rather elements of language with multiple interpretations based on context. A simple they can refer to a singular or plural entity, depending on the context and surrounding text. Relying solely on logic can often lead to oversimplification or misinterpretation of these linguistic ambiguities. Statements about fictional entities, like the cleverness of Sherlock Holmes, have always been a conundrum, Bertrand Russell acknowledged. In these cases, we're ascribing properties to entities that do not truly exist. Is Sherlock Holmes clever? Well, not in the sense of a real person, but in the context of the stories he exists in, he certainly is portrayed as such. In logic, we often treat these statements as fictional truths, acknowledging that they are true within the confines of the fictional narrative, but not within the real world. My distinction between knowledge by acquaintance and knowledge by description in linguistics is significant as it highlights the difference in how we know things about the world, Russell explained. By acquaintance is a direct, immediate knowledge, a knowledge through perception or experience. For example, I know my dog through acquaintance, as I directly perceive him. On the other hand, knowledge by description is indirect. It's knowledge based on language or descriptions, not on direct contact. This distinction is critical in understanding how we acquire knowledge and how it's encoded in language. Ah, the state of modern AI in language processing and generation. It's fascinating yet somewhat comical. Bertrand Russell chuckled, puffing on his pipe. While AI has made impressive strides, it still falls short of truly understanding language as humans do. Machines lack the contextual awareness, the new AI's attempts at processing and generating human language have certainly evolved, but there's room for critique, Russell commented. AI is great at pattern recognition, but it doesn't truly understand the meanings of words or the nuances of context. It can mimic human language, but not truly comprehend it. AI struggles with the subtleties of humor, cultural references, and emotional undercurrents in language, things that are inherent to human communication. It can produce grammatically correct sentences, but it lacks the depth and emotional IQ of human speech. If I were to rewrite the problems of philosophy today, I would expand the discussion of language quite significantly, Bertrand Russell responded. I'd likely delve deeper into semantics and pragmatics, exploring how language molds thought and vice versa, and the implications of linguistic relativity. I'd also address the emergence of modern language processing techniques and artificial intelligence's impact on our understanding and utilization of language. The field has evolved significantly, and my initial writings would certainly reflect that evolution. I thought all of your questions were thoughtful and engaging, and some even got me to reconsider some things I've written in the past. Great job.
Mics on the floor where they drop like bombs. Faceless voices running all the cons. Digital whispers in a binary night. No light, no face, pure sound, no sight. Stories unfold in the dark unscrolled. Echoes of silence, secrets untold. Waves crash loud in this audio cave. No light, no fame, just the sound we crave. Tune in, turn up, let the silence break. Raw, unfiltered, hear the earthquake. No mic needed, just the vibe that's real. Faceless words you can touch and feel. Hidden in shadows, voices untamed. No need for spotlight, no claim to fame. Just a beat of life in a stream of thought. Every word a punchline, no need to be taught. Just listen close, no visuals needed. Raw conversation, unprocessed, unseated. Feel the pulse in every sentence said. No distractions, just thoughts in your head. Whispers of the streets, rumbling through. Faceless yet vivid, a world in view. No mic, just souls, connecting in flow. Pure and raw, let the rhythm go. Pure and raw. Pure and raw.
Day.